Hey YouTube, Jim here. Welcome to Top 10 Archive. Our team at the Archive consists of people from all around the world, countries with all kinds of interesting facts, food, and people. Not all countries can be a tourist attraction though, and some of them really struggle with the cards they've been dealt. Today we'll be exploring the 10 most depressing countries in the world. But before we get started, why not become an archivist today by clicking that subscribe button and notification bell so you don't miss out on any future uploads. If you end up enjoying this video, let us know by giving it a thumbs up. And in the comments section, tell us about anything depressing that happens where you live. Number 10. Haiti. Haiti is a country with really interesting circumstances. It shares an island with the Dominican Republic, and their situations vary by a lot. Only 53% of Haitians can read and write, and their population has taken a lot of hits from violence and HIV/AIDS. Haiti also has the highest percentage of orphans in our hemisphere. Even before their massive earthquake, there were about 430,000 orphans reported. Their average minimum wage is $2.75 a day. And about 70% of people don't have regular jobs. So when you land a job, it's unlikely that you'll fight back when you run into unfair practices. Poverty is everywhere, with an average home making $480 per year. This country has got the short end of a lot of sticks in their history, and their people definitely know what it is to struggle. Number 9. The Central African Republic. This country is slightly smaller than Texas, and the average age is just 20 years old. It has a variety of ethnic groups and religions. It was previously colonized by France and got its independence in 1960. It has so many natural resources like gold, timber, diamonds, and uranium that you'd think that it would be considered a rich country. However, the country sees none of that income, remaining one of the poorest in the world. Its leaders are often chosen and demoted by unconstitutional means, like President Francois Bozize, who was forced from office by a coalition of rebels named the Seleka. Displaced people reach the hundreds of thousands, and it might be a while before they get on anyone's travel list. Number 8. Afghanistan. Afghanistan has struggled with a lot of problems over the years, political, economic, religious, you name it. 50% of Afghan children have stunted growth, and 20% of Afghan women of childbearing age are underweight. The food distribution is unequal and goes to battle areas. Meanwhile, other areas struggle a lot. As a result, a lot of children die in Afghanistan. All of this doesn't even take into account the fact that a lot of families live in refugee camps and have lived there for years. After the war, heavy politics, and everything else Afghanistan has been through, it still needs a lot more help to bounce back. Number 7. Rwanda. Rwanda is mostly internationally known because of its massive genocide in 1994 when between 500,000 and 1 million people died. Life expectancy there is just 50 years old, and the average person being a young adult in their 20s. The political and social problems leading to and after the genocide disrupted their education system, which is just now being rebuilt. Universities there are quite new, as is most of the entire social system. After all that they've been through, it's no wonder why they are rebuilding slowly. Number 6. Yemen. Yemen is a conflict-torn country. 3/4 of the population need urgent aid and protection. They aren't strangers to bombing, kidnapping, arbitrary detention, and a lot of awful practices many of us will never see. Yemen still has about 2 million displaced people in the country who are vulnerable to exploitation, recruitment, and abuse. The nutrition problems in the country are vast, and people are often very malnourished. The dynamic with people that have grown up under conflict is definitely different. If you do ever visit Yemen, you should remember the people's conflict when interacting with them. They do not have a happy history. Number 5. Syria. We're not strangers to Syria and its conflict. This country has totally lost control of their security, which must be terrifying for them. In fact, that's an understatement. Syria is the latest of several countries in the Middle East who struggle and end up with a lot of refugee camps for people, where refugees stay for an average of 17 years. The situation in Syria is so bleak that there is a very real risk of a lost generation of Syrian children living in limbo, not attending school. Despite many offering a place for refugees in their homes, few have been matched, and identity confirmation is difficult. In Berlin, for each social worker, there are about 200 to 300 refugees. Number 4. Botswana. Not only is Botswana a difficult place to live, it's also a country with a high rate of depression. The high rate of HIV in the country emphasizes the need for mental health support and counseling, because people have a really hard time coping with their difficult circumstances. To add, they have crazy droughts and high temperatures which affect food production and the overall morale of the country. Number 3. Argentina. Despite Argentina's romantic landscapes and cultural richness, it hasn't caught a break for a long time. It's had a history of economic crises. In recent times, the country has imposed capital controls and announced a reprofiling of its debt payments. While a deep recession is underway, inflation is very high, and an even bigger increase in poverty is going to follow. Argentina has a history of Great Depressions, the most recent of which occurred during the third quarter of 1998 until the second quarter of 2002. Overall, they've just experienced slow growth rates since the 1960s, income continued to fall through the 70s and 90s, and today they still suffer through a high inflation rate, rising unemployment rates, and long-standing human rights issues. Number 2. Venezuela. It's no secret that Venezuela has been struggling for a while now. 4 million people have decided it's not for them. It all started back in 2014 with crazy inflation rates that made basic items like, toilet paper and cereal genuinely unaffordable. An index called the Café con Leche Index was made just to follow the volatile inflation rates in the country. Their currency went from comparable to surrounding countries, perhaps even better, to so worthless that people use it as craft paper to make actual valuable things like wallets or bags. Number 1. South Sudan. Sudan was founded in 2011, and they know better than anyone that being a very new country can be hard. Despite being under 10 years old, they're already the unhappiest country according to the UN Happiness Report. They also take into account life expectancy, income, and other factors. But South Sudan isn't doing so well after a civil war that killed about 400,000 people. Now, almost half the population is at risk for starvation. Thanks for watching. We hope you're not too depressed now. Perhaps we can collaborate and share information about how to make these places and our world in general a better place to live for everyone. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Brighten your day by subscribing and clicking the bell so you're notified each time we upload a new video. While you're at it, can you depress that like button for us? Thanks. Just for that, here are a couple of happier videos you can watch right now.